Welcome to Present Poetry, a reading podcast with your host, Erin Crittenden. All poems used in this podcast are either public domain or used with permission from the author or the estate. So sit back, relax, and get ready to hear some poetry from the past and the present. This week's featured poet is the Bard of Avon himself, William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was baptized on April 26, 1564, in Stratford-upon-Avon, Warwickshire, England, where he was raised by his father, John Shakespeare, and his mother, Mary Arden. He was the third of 8 children and the only surviving son. Not much is known about his early life, but at 18, he married Anne Hathaway, a woman 8 years his senior, and they went on to have 3 children, eldest daughter Susanna, who was born only 6 months after the wedding, and then later, fraternal twins Hamnet and Judith. Hamnet unfortunately passed when he was only 11, and it is widely speculated that his relationship with Shakespeare inspired one of his most well-known plays, Hamlet. Around 1585, Shakespeare comes on the scene and begins his long and successful career as an author, playwright, and actor. He also became the co-owner of a playing company known as the Lord Chamberlain's Men, which quickly became the leading playing company in London. They were so popular, in fact, that in 1599, the troupe built their own theater on the south bank of the River Thames and named it the Globe. They also took over ownership of Blackfriars Indoor Theatre in 1608, and records suggest that Shakespeare became moderately wealthy through his purchases, investments, and associations with the Lord Chamberlain's men. However, despite his fame as an actor, Shakespeare is mostly remembered for his plays and poetry, and he is known as one of the best dramatists of all time. Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Coriolanus, A Midsummer's Night Dream, Othello, and King Lear are but a few of his many plays, and it's estimated that he wrote around 38 plays and over 150 poems, some of which are classified as the finest poetry written in the English language. Shakespeare died at the young age of 52 on April 23, 1616, at his home in Stratford-upon-Avon, a mere month after signing his last will and testament, which was a detailed document that began with a description of Shakespeare being in perfect health. He is buried in the chancel of the Holy Trinity Church, and there is a curse written on his tomb that reads, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones." For this episode, we're going to focus on a few of the Bard's sonnets that capture his imagination and give us a glimpse into the man who defined not only a generation, but the entire world of literature during his short life. Sonnet 14. Not from the stars do I my judgment pluck, and yet methinks I have astronomy, but not to tell of good or evil luck, of plagues, of deaths, or seasons' quality. Nor can I fortune to brief minutes tell, pointing to each his thunder, rain, and wind, or say with princes if it shall go well, but I oft predict that I in heaven find, but from thine eyes my knowledge I derive, and constant stars in them I read such art, as truth and beauty shall together thrive, if from thyself to store thou wouldst convert, or else of thee this I prognosticate, thy end is truth's and beauty's doom and date. Sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often in his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Sonnet 19. Devouring time, blunt thou the lion's paws, and make the earth devour her own sweet brood. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood. Make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleets, and do ever thou wilt, swift-footed time, to the wide world and all her fading sweets, but I forbid thee one most heinous crime. Oh, carve not with thy hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow, for beauty's pattern to succeeding men. Yet do thy worst, old time, despite thy wrong, my love shall, in my verse, ever live young. Sonnet 36. Let me confess that we two must be twain, although our undivided loves are one. So shall those blots that do with me remain, without thy help, by me be borne alone. In our two loves there is but one respect, though in our lives a separable spite, which though it alter not love's sole effect, yet doth it steal sweet hours from love's delight. I may not evermore acknowledge thee, lest my bewailed guilt should do thee shame, nor thou with public kindness honor me, unless thou take that honor from my name. But do not so, I love thee in such sort, as thou being mine, mine is thy good report. Sonnet 130. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hair be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked, red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare. Thank you for listening to this episode of Present Poetry. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review, share us on social media, or subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you would like to learn more about the featured poet, or you would like your work featured on the podcast, please check out the links in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.